Okay, I'm going to talk about the next subject having to do with law of attraction and energy medicine. And, I want to talk about some things that the Ascended Masters, the so-called Ascended Masters, talk about. And that is basically, if you listen to things like Abraham Hicks, some people know Abraham Hicks and their vortex of manifestation. And the idea is, if you create a need, it's the universe will come in and provide for your need. So, in the world that we are coming from, there are a lot of people that put out needs. And they basically do that by investing a lot of their personal energy into building things like businesses and medical practices and... I'll just work with those ones. So if you were listening to a teacher like Peter Mount Shasta, who was taught by the so-called Ascended Master Saint Germain, you listen to what he says and his description of his life under the guidance of the masters. You just say, I'm in the presence of so-and-so to begin with, one of the Ascended Masters, and that's supposed to bring them in. And then eventually you just start doing it. And, at one point, they say, or he says, I put it out there that I was going to get into the rental home business. And lo and behold, I started having tenants show up. So, if you follow their instructions, it's you putting out, I need this done, and it's all in the form of, your idea. See, it's fraught with issues because, no one creates ideas. Ideas come from a field outside of you. Your brain is more like a radio that tunes to the field. So, it's manipulation on the part of whatever field that they drop you in. I'm going to call it these beings, these Ascended Masters. So you're being manipulated. You're being dropped into a field that's full of ideas, and they're saying, well, they're your ideas, and you put it out there, and that's why your tenants are showing up, and real estate people are banging on your door. Come on, we're going to go look at apartment buildings that you have to buy so you can fill them with tenants. So it's manipulation, and grabbing onto any idea at all. I mean, you got the physical being, right? And it needs to have water, so I'm drinking water. So-called necessities of life. But if I was, a hip surgeon, and I went to medical school and spent a lot of money and time learning how to replace hips with artificial hips. And there was also a big pharmaceutical company that manufactured artificial hips with a lot of high-priced people expecting to buy Lamborghinis. Then there's a big thought form in that field of consciousness that's out there in our general hologram. That would be the, what we see out here. And these invisible thought forms are out there looking for people to come and be the ones who are going to have an operation on their hip. So basically what I'm saying is this is what we call black magic. Black magic is people putting it out there that I'm going to be giving you a service for money or my pleasure, but mostly for money in this world. And so putting it out there that you're a surgeon is going to create disease in people. Weird, eh? But that's black magic, and that is what thought forms do. So if you are a surgeon, now somebody says, well, there's already a need, there was already a need for replacement of shoulders and hips before this doctor went into it. It's like a chicken and egg thing, because if you were from a higher density place, in the higher densities, you might not even have a body at all, believe it or not, but it's true. So when you're here and you've got a body, and I don't have active memories about past lives on this planet, so I don't know if I did have past lives or if I was manipulated into thinking that I did. I trust nothing, really. I mean, even these lectures that I give you words, and I would, say, it's good to think about it, but is it 100% true? Proof is in the pudding. So if what I say doesn't come to fruition, if things don't change, then you can just say, well, I'm a kook, and that's what most people think anyway. So I don't be too concerned. But, there's nobody putting this stuff out there, that there's other reasons for, why the world that we were born into is a hell world. And, every time you turn on the mainstream news, there's another war, another fight, and another argument, and the rich are getting richer, and then everybody else, their wages are stagnant and the prices keep going up. So, I calling it a sick society. I mean, there's teenagers in my town that commit suicide, and I say, that's not the teenagers' issue. That's the issue of the society that they grow up in. There's huge issues, and everyone knows all the stories about all the horrors that go on in this world. So it's a sick society that causes people sickness. So the chicken and egg is, well, if you're born into a sick society, and we all are, well, what came first? The sick society came before you did. Let's put it that way. So how do we change it? Well, you have to educate yourself. And then, why does it take so long to change? Because, from my perspective, I've been looking at this stuff for a very long time, and I've thrown it away a number of times because it didn't seem to be working. But the way everyone else thinks is just stupid to me. I mean, I told you in my previous lecture about the HeLa cells, the cancer cells that live forever. So it proves to me that there's no reason why cells can't live forever, which means your body could live forever. There, you have to smoke that one in your pipe. Consider it. Genetic manipulations. I don't know about genetic manipulations. Some people talk about it, that there's, beings from other dimensions that do these kind of things, and they visited Earth and things. I have no proof of all this stuff. And, as far as what my genetic code is, I think the doctors ran some tests, but I haven't seen them. And so, I've just got a lot of theory that's been told to me about this is the way it works. Everything that we're taught, we just take it for granted that there was experts, doctorates of PhDs of this, that, and the next thing that have discovered all this stuff, and this is how it works. And, you sort of take it on faith because the teacher teaches you the official curriculum. I question everything. The whole idea about, DNA is kind of unnecessary, really. If you're a quantum being in a quantum field, and that's what you really are, we're taught that we're physical and biology. But, when you get to 11th grade or more physics, you learn about quantum. And quantum is the truth. And the physical stuff is simply, it's historical. It's historical information. Newtonian physics seems to work for billiard ball tables. But the truth is, after you go and look at it, and it's not new, I mean, this quantum physics is, it's like 100 years old. So, biology doesn't take into account quantum physics. It talks about these little cells and organelles and things that are physical. And what is physical? Well, it's just solid. It's solid energy, basically, because energy is matter. You can convert one to another. So that's what it is. And, we're just so used to thinking that everything is solid and physical. That's what our medical system is based upon, us being physical organisms. But we are quantum organisms, which means that even though we seem solid because we're coming from a place where everything seems solid, if you follow the quantum physics, we're maybe particles and we're maybe waves, right? So, and the particles that we are very tiny, and how that gets locked up into a physical organism that we call a biological organism, well, let's leave that for another lecture. But all I'm saying is that if you have a quantum field that is your blueprint, you should be able to stick to that blueprint. And if your blueprint is being manipulated and changed, and that is what is the outpicturing of aging, then there is something wrong. And, there are cause and effect. The cause is something is changing your genetic blueprint or your divine blueprint, your quantum blueprint, from being a young child to being an adult, young adult, and then eventually growing old. It is cause and effect, and somewhere there is a cause that is causing your quantum blueprint to change. And I don't see it in the human world. So it is a hidden thing. It is either in a hidden dimension. I'm going to go with hidden dimension, Hidden radio waves that we know are real. I'm telling you, these other dimensions, if you talk to the mathematicians, and it's really beyond me, but, they talk about the other dimensions that are there, but we don't see them with our physical senses. We're still going back to calling them physical, but, your eyes, your eyesight, and your hearing, you don't know that they're there other than indirectly. But wherever your blueprint is, your quantum blueprint for your brain and your body, and maybe your memories even have a quantum blueprint, I would direct you to look into the work of Rupert Sheldrake, a British researcher who's talked about morphic fields, done a lot of work in morphic fields. And the morphic fields are hidden, but they are the fields that, according to Dr. Sheldrake, are the things that create your form. So is it your quantum blueprint? Maybe it's a part of your quantum blueprint. Maybe it can be all explained that way, or maybe there's more to it. I don't know. But it gets you going in the right direction, that there is a quantum blueprint which may be at least partially the morphic field of Rupert Sheldrake that controls the form that your body takes. And somewhere in the morphic field, either morphic field or some other field that's related to you and your body, there is an aging program. And it's by design. So do I believe in intelligent design? I never used to, but I believe that the universe is intelligent and intelligence is everywhere. So I'm going to say it is intelligent design. What is the intelligence of creating human beings that live for a while and die? Dark. It's a very dark intelligence. It's very smart, but it's very dark. And the world that I was born into, where every time you turn on the television, it was a story about another threat of a nuclear war to blow the planet to smithereens. I would say that's a dark planet. I would say that's not full of love. That's full of a lot of hate and evil. So, the past timelines, in other words, history of this planet, dark, very dark place, full of beings that are basically control freaks, controlling other beings and designing a world where you're trapped. And, you can look on YouTube and you can see all kinds of things about soul traps, so that when you're dead, you get recycled back onto the planet. And then religions were created that said, well, it's karma. You have to come back because you did bad things. But it's all wrong. It's all lies, because you don't do anything, believe it or not. I mean, it seems like you do, but everything that happens to you is because of the fields you're in. So I talked about you having a morphic field for your body, but the idea field, the idea field that you walk through, that's where you get all your impulses to do everything. And smart shoppers know that when you go into the shopping mall that there's lots of sale signs, and that's how on the human level they try and get you into their store. But, there's also all the old research from Psychology 101 about subliminal advertising. So you're bombarded constantly with messages that maybe your conscious mind doesn't pick up, but your subconscious mind picks up. It goes right through your filter. And this is how, a lot of these beliefs about disease come about. Because if you watch the mainstream news, it's nothing but a constant stream of commercials about pharmaceuticals and all the horrible things. They tell you shingles was a big thing a little while ago, that if you had chicken pox as a youth, well, 50% of the old people are going to get shingles. Or there was another advertisement that we saw in Canada. It was about how are you going to spend your last 10 years of life. And basically these are going directly into your memory banks that create a belief structure that, first of all, you're going to die in 10 years or less, and especially if you're old, and that there's all kinds of pharmaceuticals out here that will help you, and that it's likely that you're going to get shingles. I'm telling you, it's black magic. It's black magic because they're putting this stuff out there that, if you were in another realm where they didn't do this, you wouldn't be afflicted by it. Can I prove it? Well, I don't know, because you have to get to another place. You have to get to another planet where you don't have this stuff. And I haven't found a way to get there. But I'm trying to find an alternate explanation for why things are, because the real explanations that you'll get out of textbooks and out of doctors are unsatisfying to me, because I've already told you about the HeLa cancer cells that don't die. So why is it that human cells die and the human organism degenerates? It's because somebody is manipulating it that way. So that's the end of this lecture. Your takeaway is trust no one. The X-Files. I'm Bobby Burrows.